Hey y'all, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank and I'm here with Jonathan once again.
Well, hello.
Like I was warning Jonathan at the gym, if we're not careful, we might become a regular podcast with two reoccurring hosts all the time. It's nuts.
I'll find an excuse to bail out for a couple months.
Yeah. You're gonna go off to the store for cigarettes and we're never gonna see you again.
Exactly.
We're kicking things off with our question of the week. It's which video game world would you like to live in? I'm going to go to our listeners first. We have two of them right here that I want to make sure to spotlight. Jimmy Evans, who has been a advent? That is not the right word. A super duper follower of ours on social media. Shout out to Jimmy Evans. He says Smash Brothers world, which at first I was like, how violent. I don't know if I'd want to be in a world where everybody's fighting all the time, but it's a world where Pokemon and Mario and Link, all of them exist. And so that's pretty cool. That's a good way to look at it right there, I think.
Yeah, maybe we don't see the break room, but, they all get together non-aggressively somewhere when they're not fighting, right? All right.
Like Wreck-It Ralph, like the whole time the apartment seems like they're getting attacked all the time, but then at night they have parties and stuff like that. That's a good point.
That'd be pretty fun.
And then Aaron, you remember Aaron I don't want to say his last name actually on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron,
Aaron from the neighborhood.
Childhood. Yeah. He says Toe Jam and Earl, which I haven't heard that name in 20 years, maybe.
I don't even know what that is.
Since I probably was playing it with Aaron. It is such an ancient game. Toe Jam and Earl, good shout out there. Jonathan, what is your virtual world you want to live in?
So that's a hard one because it's like there's a lot of different things you want to be able to do. You don't want to be tied down to just one. Because my go-to game is like, I just want to play Minecraft. Like it's real simple, It's fun. You can walk around, just keep exploring. Fight zombies and stuff like that. So that's the game I would want to play in the virtual world. But to live in the virtual world, I think I just want to go something like Sims, to where you have actual life you can live, But in the end, really, I just want to live in the Ready Player One oasis, so you have access to everything, That'd be
which sounds like that's
ideal.
Fortnite then at this point.
Yeah,
we're gonna get into that in a second, but pretty much that's that.
Yeah. What about you?
As for me, it's Azeroth. I'm such a basic bee. I want to live in the World of Warcraft world. I already kind of do, so. Just take me there all the way. I'm super basic that way. I wish it was a fancier answer. I wish I had more excuses. I want to be a hunter that can see a gigantic tiger and tame it and it'd be my best friend. And then we go and the threats are simple. Go stop that bad guy. There's a big dragon over there. You and 39 friends go fight it and kill it. And it's like, yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And then you die and you're just like, oh, I just got to find my body again and I'll be good. And then you go walk back to your body. Boop, and you're good. It's perfect.
That's true. And the question is which virtual world would you like to live in? Some people kind of live in a lot of these virtual worlds. Like if you play, if you're a hardcore WoW player, like a third of your life is in this game. So I
haven't been that kind of hardcore WoW player in a couple of years. I'm happy about that. I'm a casual WoW player now. And so it's a better life health wise and stuff like that. But there was a time back when you and me lived in Galt. I was all the time WoW player. That's when I was one of the best hunters in the world. And I had to put the hours in for it. That was rough. You wake up, you play well.
So speaking of what video game you'd want to live in, we got some breaking news from Disney. Did you hear that Disney, well, obviously you know everything. Disney's working with Fortnite to create what looks like a virtual theme park. They released a little kind of teaser that shows what it's going to look like and stuff. What do you think about that? How do you think that's going to be like a game? Is going to be just a walk around experience? What do you expect?
I think both. So we saw Fortnite do this Lego thing where they made, it was kind of the first other game that was within their game. And I don't know if you've been on Fortnite in a while. Actually, I just played it last night in VR. And it's amazing that now you go into Fortnite and it's a lobby of other games. And it's a lot more clean and streamlined. It's not as janky as it was before. And so, when you go to the Lego game, it's like you're going on Steam to pick the Lego game. So now I'm like, oh boy, they could do all kinds of games. They have a racer there now too. And this is basically that. It's going to be this Disney game, fully fledged Disney game inside of Fortnite. I'm excited for that. What do you think?
Oh, see, I thought it was going to be the other way. I thought you'd go inside this Disney, multiplex or whatever that has all the different options, this Disney world. And then if you want to play Fortnite, you have an option to play that game, or you can check out all the other Disney affiliated IP and stuff like that.
The way to look at it, Jonathan, is it's not so much that it's a Fortnite game, it's using the Fortnite engine.
Yeah, okay.
Like Roblox, we interviewed a developer that developed a game that's part of a development team that develops a game within Roblox. It just uses Roblox to run it, but it's not actually a Roblox. So yeah, it'll use Unreal Engine 5. It'll use that stuff like that. But when you're looking at the worlds, because they gave us that one image, I think I'd want to be in those worlds. It looks like it's Main Street. It looks like there's actually a Hoth.
And we've talked about this on the podcast before, but I've been saying that I imagine in our dystopian future that's coming, like that this would be a common thing, a common virtual vacation, so to speak. That I can't afford to go to the Grand Canyon, but I could afford to log in and check out this virtual Grand Canyon or this virtual planet that we've never been to, or go especially with as good as VR is becoming. Like assuming it will eventually be integrated with VR. Then you can go check out some cool things that we can't even imagine. Like somebody has to create this stuff that we don't really have in this world. So I think it's pretty cool.
Well, and that's the thing too from the image is it looks like there's a main street where it has kind of a little bit of everything. It looks like there's another part that has kind of the California Adventures vibe where it's Marvel and a little bit more maybe the teenager version of Disneyland. But then you just see these like one-off worlds. There's a full Pandora from Avatar. There's a full Hoth. There's a full everything. There's a whole Neverland for. So then I'm thinking like they could keep adding those. Those will just keep coming. And is there any particular event from a Disney property that you'd like to relive and be a part of? Like that battle for Hoth is such a iconic battle in movie history that being a part of the actual battle is a cool idea. And personally for myself, I'm like, oh man, I want to be at the end of Pirates of the Caribbean 3. You're fighting each other on pirate ships, and there's that big swirl that you're trying to avoid. Like that's such an iconic ship battle in those movies. That would be cool to relive that as an actual player.
Yeah, I like the battle in Avengers when the whole city's being attacked by those aliens through the portal.
Classic. Yeah.
Like imagine if you were Spider-Man, if you got to play as Spider-Man, had his traversal, and you're in that scene, and it could just be like, hey guys, this is gonna happen, tomorrow at noon or whatever. So everyone's ready, and then they all kind of merge, come to the city to see this big fight, and help a little bit. Maybe you're not playing Spider-Man, maybe you're just your own character, but
Hawkeye would probably be easy. He's in the movie itself, and Hawkeye's one of those characters that doesn't have that big of effect, but he does have that one goal to like hit the thing up on top where that Loki has. So like as a player, you could imagine that like you have to get to the top of the building somehow. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be cool. And that
end game battle too with the Thanos, like that's just a huge battlefield. When you're thinking about other players joining you, those portals opening up, that's exactly it right there.
And make challenges within the city that the regular players can play. So like maybe if you aren't a superhero, because we're watching them, we're just regular, people at Disneyland kind of characters.
That's true.
If there's a challenge that's like, oh yeah, if you get to the top of this building and you guys destroy this satellite, it will, damage their communications and slow down the bad guys. And so it takes, 50 people have to work together to make their way to the top of this building and break this thing. Yeah. And then you actually see like this beam stops, transmitting or something like that. And it helps the Avengers finish their challenge. And you all get some kind of in-game credit or something like that for succeeding, and a trophy or a badge. I think that'd be a lot of fun. It's
almost like a comic book retcon where it's like, well, actually in the game you realize that this person did this one thing that stopped the other invasion happening. So really, that would be kind of fun little toy to play with there too. I think this is a good idea. And we talked about how, VR is getting so strong and better and better. There's a lot of people who can't afford to go to Disneyland. It is increasingly expensive.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
VR headsets are not too bad. Like if you were to get an Oculus 2, which is not the newest Oculus, but it's still a very good machine, you could experience a VR world. And this is not even VR. This is announced as just a regular part of Fortnite. Yeah. I'm assuming that VR is going to come up right behind us because it just feels so natural. But so free technically, right? Because everything on Fortnite's free to experience, not to actually buy skins. That's a way your family could kind of, embrace the Disney culture a little bit,
Yeah. And I'm kind of hopeful that it's Disney that's kind of trying to pioneer this. We know other people have been working on like metaverse projects, but the fact that Disney's the one pioneering it means it will hopefully stay, for the most part, family friendly, and we won't end up with, the post-apocalyptic or whatever dystopian cyber metaverse that we see in a lot of movies and stuff, where it's just all adult content and unhealthy for everybody. So we'll see.
We'll have that in another place. It doesn't have to be Disney.
I'm sure that'll be somewhere.
Man, I tell you, so I've got that Oculus 3 now, and I've been toying with it, experiencing it, and seeing because some of it's kind of gimmicky, you know what I'm saying, which is understandable. Like there's some games that are very gimmicky. Like this is cool to experience and to show somebody, but it's not like your everyday use.
Yeah.
And
like as much as Beat Sabers is a fun game to play, it's like them trying to show off the abilities of the device, not necessarily something that the audience is gonna want to play regularly.
Exactly. And last night I watched it was Invincible. I needed to finish up Invincible. So I watched the last 2 episodes of Invincible in VR, and I did it on the Amazon Prime app. I haven't tried it out in VR yet, because each of these streaming companies are now starting their own VR thing as well. And I tell you, Jonathan, it was like when I'm watching it, they do it, and you could choose to do it in a theater. You could choose what size theater you want. I did IMAX, and they you see the chairs next to you. They have the lighting from the screen on them. I had it go dim, like when you're in a theater, it goes dim after the previews. And I'm like, I am in a theater right now. Like, this is crazy how much I am straight up in a theater right now. And I would arguably pay near theater prices for that day one release of a movie to come out in that experience. If I could watch the next Marvel movie that way, I would probably pay at least $10 for day one release of that thing on my VR. So there's something there too. Like they could do that. Like, can you imagine going to the Disney park, say it goes to the VR, and you go to the theater in that Disney World and you pay a ticket to experience that thing.
And what's cool is as VR gets better, like, I mean, we see in Ready Player One, you go down into this Disney, Hollywood street or whatever, and you meet up with your friends and you guys all go to the movies together. And then afterwards you go have some kind of adventure. It's great for us as an audience, and it's great for Disney. Imagine, right after that, they have a shop. You could buy all their merch and stuff like that there. I think it's really, in the end, going to be a win-win. So I'm excited.
I had a lot of people online in the comments, TikTok especially, because that could be pretty confrontational in there, thinking like, oh, Disney's messing up again. There's a lot of people who just hate Disney for multiple reasons, but like this is such a bad move for Disney. Like, people won't go to the parks kind of thing. Absolutely not. When you're in Disneyland, there's no magic that you could capture anywhere else in the world that's not like that. Like, that's unique.
Yeah.
And so this is just a good way for people who maybe can't afford to go to Disneyland, or there's only 2 places in all of America that have it, so it's hard to get to them. So I think it's cool.
If you've gone to Disneyland lately, there's so many people there. They're not having a problem. They're not not at the point where they turn people away, but there's so many people that it's meeting its limit for sure. So if they unfortunately keep increasing the prices, they're going to narrow it down to where it's only the people that can afford the high end ticket prices. And once they get down to, 90 or 95% of their volume they can handle, then they might stop raising prices. But it makes sense from a business tactic. They just keep bringing up the prices until they're meeting the demand. And
that's their stated reason by the way, that is their stated reason for increasing ticket prices, is to try to slow down people coming into the park. Yeah. Which is such a crazy thing. But it like, if you look at it just business wise, that does make sense. You're trying to figure out where the demand is at. So you increase prices till you meet it. But as a person who's trying to just go, who's been going for a long time now, you're like, well, son of a bitch, I've been loyal. Why am I having to deal with this? But that's
And most of us can't afford, $1,000, trip like that. Like, it's, $150 or whatever to get in the park per person, 3-4 people in your family, 2 days, like, you're easily spending $1,000 to go. So it's like, well, if you can't afford that, then this might be a very cheap alternative. And they'll probably monetize it somehow, where you pay for a subscription to go into these lands, or just merch you can buy in, virtual merch. But either way, I think it'll be a cheaper option for families that can't afford to go to these expensive parks.
Yeah, they're probably gonna have like the freaking park hopper passes, which you can't pass up. I always laugh when somebody's like, "Oh, we didn't get the park hopper." I'm like, "How did you not get the park hopper? Like, you got to go check out California Adventures."
And like in the Genie Pass, if you do the math and you're standing in a line for an hour and you didn't have Genie Pass, it's like you're wasting your money by not spending more money to be able to ride more rides. It's sad, but you might as well just calculate your ticket price, including the Genie Pass in it.
Somebody on TikTok, not that this should be the podcast, like, you want us on TikTok, that actually probably would be a good TikTok podcast. But somebody was talking about how, like, do you know where the actual Indiana Jones ride is? Have you been on the Indiana Jones ride? I think we talked about this.
I haven't been on it in years. When we were little, I went on it. And then, the few times that I've gone recently, it was down we went 4 times since me and my wife been together. It was down 2 of the times. And then the other 2 times we didn't go because she didn't really want to go on it. And it just, I don't know, didn't happen. And it's hard because we have our son. So like one of us will have to stand outside, and it was like a really long wait for that ride. But it's down a lot too. Even while we were there and it was like working, we would see it's down for an hour or something like that, and then comes back online. Yeah.
It's such a good ride. It's one of their best ones.
But yeah, I know where it's at. It's over by Jungle Cruise.
The entrances. So, but that's the thing is they try to hide the actual ride itself, right? The building that's housing the ride. And so, like, do you know where it's actually at? It's way in the back. You walk 1.3, I think it was, miles in underground tunnels because it feels like an experience when you're in there. You're like, oh, this is part of the ride. They do that a lot with the Star Wars ones now.
Yeah.
So you actually feel like, oh, I'm going through one of Indy's movies to get to it. But then by the time you actually get to the end, you walked 1.3 miles. They don't even, but it's like hidden in a way. Maybe it's 1.3 miles there and back.
Total.
But yeah, it's nowhere near the entrance. The entrance is just how you get into the tunnels.
That's
and I
smart.
thought that was pretty smart. Yeah. Oh, man. They're reworking Haunted Mansion right now. Haunted Mansion. They're reworking the line for that one too to make the line a little bit more efficient. Because if you remember, like, the outside part the whole time you're in the weather, and then when you're inside, it's kind of like a bunch of people moving from room to room, which is neat looking, but also kind of just inefficient. So they're working on that too.
And that line often like blocks the road because it goes out of the ride itself
on the big days. Yeah,
and it ends up crossing. I mean, they would put up little ropes or whatever to kind of guide the line, but it's like, dude, this is insane how far it's going, and it's kind of blocking traffic for everything else. So it's good that they find a better way to guide it.
They're putting a bar over there too. Walt never wanted a bar in that place, and they put one in California Adventures. Like, it's too much money, Walt. Sorry, buddy. They're putting a bar over there, and I saw the concept for it. Like, when you're sitting at the bar, you're going to see ghosts sitting next to you in the bar glass.
I still have to check out the bar that's in the Star Wars area, the Galaxy's Edge. Yeah. I've never gone into it, but I didn't even know it was there until the last time we were there. I happened to walk by and I heard the music, and I was like, wait a minute, is that a bar? Well, I didn't think they had bars in Disneyland, but that looks like what it is. But somebody was saying there's a 2-drink maximum too, so that nobody gets too rowdy.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's smart.
A shame. I mean, that's a good idea. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next thing here. 2 Disney things I want to make sure to mention. Actually, 3 technically now. So first off, Percy Jackson is renewed. Did you watch Percy Jackson, the first one?
I watched the first few episodes. It was kind of slow. I didn't really get hooked. It probably might not be my demographic or something like that, my age range, but
yeah,
it looked like it'd be great for teenagers.
Mythology. It helps.
Yeah.
So for myself, because I know it is definitely geared towards teenagers. I thought it was a really good story in general. I like the
same
old
story
movie
as the movie, right?
It is.
Yeah. Okay. It's like then they've done that, but okay.
Yeah. So, but it just got renewed for season 2. One thing that's fun fact about that, because I was working on fun facts for Challenge Accepted, and the fun fact for that one is they cast the kids, I think, at 12 years old because the writer really wanted to make sure they're 12 because the movie, they messed that up. Kids are too old. So they're like, okay, we casted them at 12. By the time they were done filming, they were 15. So if you pay attention, like if you were to go watch the first episode and the last episode, that's 3 years difference. And they like went through puberty during it. Their kids are all older now.
At least hopefully they filmed it in order, because I know a lot of times movies, they'll film scenes completely out of place, and so that would totally
they mostly did because they're traveling in the show. So when they're when it's something where they have to travel, they do it in order. But there are scenes that kind of jumps around a little bit like that. That's just funny that's a problem I have to deal with.
Yeah.
Moana sequel coming out this year. I forgot they had apparently mentioned this like 2 years ago at a Disney D23.
Yeah. So I saw a video recently of The Rock talking about this. He was like, we started filming the Moana series, a TV show. And he's like, it was going good. We all kind of liked it and stuff like that. And we got to a certain point, we all looked at each other. We were like, this is a movie. We need to just put this together as a movie, because this feels so much more like a movie than a TV show. And so and maybe that's why we haven't seen much about it.
Let me jump in real quick before you go too far.
Oh, yeah.
There's a live action Moana and an animated Moana too.
Oh,
so The Rock is working on live action Moana, and they're making Moana 2 the movie, which will have The Rock as well. So we're going to have double Moanas.
I think he was talking about the animated movie.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think they're still on track to produce the live action one also.
They are. Yeah. They are.
Okay. But that's exciting. I mean, I'm interested. I don't know any idea what the story is going to be for the sequel. Do you?
Straw Hat Goofy caught that they're making a really big deal out of this certain conch that she's blowing into, and they're all explorers now. So it could be about them trying to find new islands, or they find this conch and all of a sudden they realize like, oh no, we moved this conch and now, I don't know, it's a Ferngully situation or something like that. Like something evil's coming. That would be pretty cool to do something like that. All I know is the songs are going to be bangers, because man, the soundtrack for that first one freaking rocks.
Yep.
So good.
But I hope they don't have the same challenges that most sequels have, where they put a lot of money in the first one, it's got a great name, and so the sequel ends up being a dud because they don't put as much into it or whatever.
Frozen 2 sucked. Yeah. And we're gonna get Frozen. They just announced too, also somewhat recently, Frozen 3 and 4. And I'm like, yeah, guys are being a dead horse now.
Yeah,
we're good.
Like if you want to go off into a series and they have different adventures or whatever, that's fine. But when you're doing just movie after movie, unless your numbers are really showing that it's selling, I wouldn't keep doing it.
What do you think about them doing live action movies for the newer movies like this?
I don't know. What have we seen other live action movies for newer Disney?
They announced a live action, and we have this Moana live action, and I think they're working on a Tangled live action too. But I'm like, I liked when the live action. First off, the live action I don't think I really needed, but they make good money. But it's better if they're about forgotten characters. Bring back forgotten IPs like Jungle Book, like that Robin Hood Disney one. Like for the millennials, if you play the song that's intro for that thing, is so freaking iconic that if you were to bring it back and you actually were just had that music playing, you'd have us buying tickets. And yet, like Moana is like, yeah, it's good and it's a decent story. It's a good story, but I don't know, man.
It's a decent story.
It's already been at the forefront so much lately. Bring back something that's forgotten. I think it's kind of the value of Disney's library.
And I wonder if this is, again, targeting not us, but the modern day teenagers, the ones that are 15, 16, 17 right now, were, toddlers when Moana first came out. Them. Yeah. So you when you think of Enchanted, that Disney show that's all about, it's a live action teen drama about Disney characters. Like, yeah, that's definitely not targeting us, but that might be where they're shifting their focus to, because that's the next generation of people who are about to have jobs and disposable income.
You know what? That reminds me. Have you ever seen a show called Once Upon a Time? It was a Disney show. It is so your wife's cup of tea, man.
Is it?
It is. Think of that so what it is basically it's this little town where you realize that all of the old Disney characters basically live in this town, but I don't think they know that they are Disney characters.
Oh yeah, it's like Twilight vibes.
It is very Twilighty, but then it's like Snow White and Prince Charming are the two main characters.
Yeah,
it's a really decent show, and I think your wife would really be a fan of it.
Yeah, and it has some good actors in it too. Well, some good like
the guy
UFC
that plays
actors.
Rumple. It's fairy tales, not necessarily Disney, but it's Disney really.
Yeah,
because eventually Ursula's there and stuff like that too.
Yeah, it was on ABC.
Rumpelstiltskin. That actor kills it.
Yeah,
he's so good.
Yeah, I did see a few episodes. It feels a little more like a stage play or like a soap opera, but it's has all these iconic characters. I remember seeing a little bit of it. I don't think I ever completed a season even. It'd be a good thing.
It gets better over time, like when they bring in Hook and then Hook's the love interest and stuff like that. Like it builds on. It ends up creating a really pretty big world within that little town. That's kind of where it's a lot of fun.
Oh, you remember you were telling me before, like, there's going to be this drama that's based on Zorro. It's going to be kind of like a soap opera.
Oh, yeah.
And that my wife would love that. She's like, yeah, they've done that over and over again in Spanish. They have a lot of those. So it's not a new thing. Yeah, but maybe not.
This is the first time an American company's like, we're going to make money off of one of these now. And that's what it is. That's what I recognize it.
Yeah, that's funny.
Been there, done that. Oh, man. I love Zorro. I still got to read. There's Zorro and Django comic books. I got to read those.
Oh yeah,
it's like that's such a dope combo right there.
Zorro means fox, right? In Spanish.
No way.
So he's the fox.
Oh my god, I never knew that.
Yeah, ask my
son. You know how many times I used to watch that old movie? Like, because I had that VCR in my room, so I would like that was basically the movie I would put on every night, and I would see like them cutting those little triangles to like spiral the thing and then fall asleep. So I just see that scene over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's such a good movie though.
Got to do that on Challenge Accepted. All right, let's move on to our next thing here, Jonathan. Let's talk. Oh, that Knuckles trailer. We already talked about Sonic last week, and I started Sonic 2, guys. I am getting there. I'm going to be catched up with all the kids.
Where is that at? Where's it streaming at?
Paramount Plus.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I need to watch that one too. But yeah, the Knuckles trailer looks really good.
Yeah, well, tell us about this trailer. What'd you think?
I like to see that it was a 6-episode series. So more episodes is great, but I like to see these mini series more than movie after movie. I don't know. There's a place for movies too, but
I was happy to see Idris Elba is actually doing it. Like Idris Elba seems like the kind of guy who's like, I'm not going to do a TV show. I already did The Office back in the day, and to see him do this, I'm like, oh, that's dope.
yeah, it looks good, and it looks like they're doing a good job, like just like the first two movies where they're merging this animation and live action. And having like the technology, like the guy using the big glove to fight Knuckles and stuff like that. it looks pretty clean. So I hope it's not just for the trailers and then you get into the show and the CGI is a little rough. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. But I mean, so far it looks very promising, so I like it. And I'm wondering if this
Sonic and Tails too. That's pretty cool to actually bring in, the characters that you are know more. So
and I wonder if they're going to be doing like Disney does with Star Wars and stuff like that. That you have the other movies, and then this series is going to kind of progress the story. So you want to watch the series before, maybe there's going to be a Tails movie that comes out later, or something like that, or Sonic 3.
Yeah, I know that this movie follows. So Sonic 3 will timeline wise be after the Knuckles series. Yeah. So if you want to know everything, you got to watch Knuckles too. But I don't think it's going to really impact the grand story too much. I really like that the Hound from Game of Thrones is the bad guy. Mm-hmm. He's playing some Robotnik scientist, but that guy needs more roles because he's so fucking cool in Game of Thrones.
I love the Robotnik tech, the way they do it. It looks like a little bit steampunk, but not really. It's a new type of like futuristic, real sharp, clean. Reminds me of Portals, the technology you see in Portals with the little droid bots and stuff like that. It's like, man, that's a really cool look. So I hope we see more of that, like kind of mimicked in other shows in the future too.
And man, did that CGI team learn their lesson that made the Sonic, that very first Sonic,
right?
Because this guy looks like it's just Knuckles like I'd want.
Yeah, that's crazy. That I wonder, was that even? I could totally see that have been like a gimmick where they're like, oh, hey, we're gonna make this guy, he looks really dumb, huh? And then people are like, oh yeah, no, don't do that. And then they suggest like, oh, you should make him look like this. And then like, okay, we got you. And then they show what they were actually planning on him being.
Yeah.
Because that first one was just, I mean, that was atrocious. I don't know how they got past them to start with.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to watch the Rescue Rangers movie that came out. I think it was last year or the year before. Mm-hmm. And it's got it's really good. It's John Mulaney and Adam Sandberg are Chip and Dale, but it's Chip and Dale like nowadays, where like Monty is he's off the cheese, man, and he's got an apartment in Beverly Hills and he's doing okay. He's doing okay. And the Chip and Dale now do conventions. That's how they make their money and stuff like that. Have you seen that movie?
I saw most of it. I think I fell asleep watching it.
But I love at the conventions. That version of Sonic is there at the conventions. Like, I'm that meme, like he's making money off the meme. Oh man, that's a solid movie.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and get to our next thing here. Phantom Menace is going to be hitting theaters May 3rd for its 25th anniversary. I am absolutely seeing this. Are you watching this with me?
I think so, yeah. I'm surprised it's only the Phantom Menace. Don't you think theaters can do a full Star Wars day where all the showings are different Star Wars movies, and maybe you pay for one ticket or two, pay like $20, $30, and you can see all the Star Wars shows because you pay to get in and you have access to
characters in the lobby.
Hell yeah. Cardboard cutouts to do pictures with and stuff like that. Make it an event. Make it
I don't really own a theater, Jonathan.
We should go into business. Geek Freaks, guys, if you want to support us, help us out with Patreon, and Geek Freaks will open a local theater.
I want a theater so bad that, like, we'll do the new stuff, but like, Jurassic Park this Friday. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want Beetlejuice. Oh man, so
and do movie marathons where it's a whole day event, a whole weekend. That would be so much fun. And you get like a small convention. Actually have a big lobby where you can do it kind of like a convention. Invite out some of the cast from the show or some smaller, lesser known characters, developers and stuff like that, and say, hey, just come out, sign, get autographs and stuff like that. And brings out a ton of people. And you just pay one flat rate to come in and enjoy the event, watch as many of the shows as you want. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Do video game tournaments there too, on the big screens like that. Okay. There
you go.
Now that we know we're going to start a theater. I can't believe it's been 25 years old from Phantom Menace. I am ancient.
Yeah, I'm feeling old already too. That's crazy.
I remember when they first announced the Star Wars, I was listening to the radio while I was doing the mile in middle school, mm-hmm. and thinking like, oh, Star Wars. Yeah, I think I've seen one of those on Fox, like Fox used to do the Sunday night movie. And I watched the first one there at grandpa's house. And I was like, okay, yeah, and everybody started dogging on it. And I was like, I thought it was really freaking cool. I don't know why everybody hated it so much. And now we know that like, oh, there's a bunch of us that loved it. It was just that it was the mean, or not the mean, but like the closed-minded old fogies that were pissed off. And so it's good to see that like Hayden Christensen now has the love that he deserved the entire time. Mm-hmm. And this movie's coming back, and so we'll have to do something special for it. Maybe something on Geek Freaks. We'll do something on Challenge Accepted for it. and I'm going to the theaters to see it for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder what tickets go on sale.
Yeah, I wonder why. Like, if they're gonna do something special, I wonder if Disney has something planned. Like, we're gonna put this back in theaters for a little bit so that there's a little hype around it. Because I'm sure there's plenty of things that have a 25th anniversary they don't mention. But I wonder if they have some news of something else Star Wars that they're gonna release after this.
Yeah, that's probably when they would announce Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Phantom Menace series, like something following Darth Maul.
Empire just interviewed Hayden again for the 25th anniversary, and it's just so good to see this guy who, like, he talked about how he had a lot of mental health issues after that movie. Jar Jar Binks, famously, I can't remember his name, but the actor who played Jar Jar Binks, they had some mental health issues after that because it was so much fan hate, and it was a level of fan hate that, honestly, I think only Star Trek fans were familiar with. This like idea that, like, oh, this isn't the right Star Trek or whatever. You know, we kind of were getting that vibe with Voyager. But, like, for the most part, geek fandoms didn't have that kind of hate-love relationship with fandoms, and we're voicing it so much. And I think Phantom Menace might have been the first one that really kicked that off.
Yeah, and I think that's a problem. That's a bad. Well, I mean, it's good for the creators to listen to the audience to some extent, but in the end, they have creative control. The audience a lot of times thinks that, well, you need to do it this way to make it the way I like it, and it's like, no, I'll make it the way that my creative mind wants to make it. And if you like it, fantastic. Thank you. Go sit in theaters and watch it. If you don't like it, go watch something else because this is what I'm producing, you know? And if they think because they've liked the things in the past that they should have a say of how it goes, no, that's not how it works.
And our Phantom Menace is a big reason for this too, by the way. But our stated statement, our mission statement on this or whatever is the fact that we support all fandoms. We're not going to dog on any particular thing because, like, the Mario movie is such a good example for that. Like, it might not have been your cup of tea. It ended up being everybody's cup of tea. But at the time, we were like, Chris Pratt, who knows, you know? But it's like, for a generation, this is their Mario. So let's dog on it. That's not fair to them. Like, let them experience the fun of Mario. It's not your Mario because your Mario is 30 years old now, 40 years old. Well, you're old too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and I hope we get more Star Wars, even like the Rey stuff. People are big fans of Rey, and we need to stop like just dogging it. Yes, what she says, her last name Skywalker at the end. Oh man, my blood boils. But still, you know, let's just have fun with it. Let's keep it lighthearted. This episode of Geek Freaks is brought to you by Paramount's Halo. Dive deep into the epic universe of Halo, where the battle between humanity and the Covenant unfolds like never before. Season 1 has laid it on Blu-ray, bring the rich lore, intense action, and stunning visuals of the Halo franchise right to your screen. Grab your copy today, link in the description. And the saga continues with Season 2, now streaming exclusively on Paramount+. Join Master Chief and his allies as they embark on a new adventure. Face formidable enemies and uncover mysteries that will change the course of the war. Don't miss a moment of the action. Start watching now by clicking the link in the description. Paramount Halo, where heroes are born, legends are made, and the fate of humanity hangs in the balance. Watch now and join the fight for the future. Speaking of blood boiling, Jonathan, this is upsetting me so much.
Yeah.
The Coyote versus Acme movie. Have you heard about this whole controversy?
I heard about that. And part of me thinks this stuff should be illegal. So I can explain it. Warner Brothers is going to delete the Coyote versus Acme movie like they did with, what was it, Batgirl?
Yep.
Yeah. And it's literally like a tax evasion tactic. Like, hey, we made this really expensive thing. Oh, it doesn't look like it turned out the way we wanted it to. It's not going to make us any money. You know what? We're just going to delete it and call it a loss on our balance sheet. Like, no, if you delete it, you're choosing to throw that away. If I spend $1 million building a house, I get a loan from a bank, and then at the end, I'm like, well, you know, I should have done 2-story. I don't like this layout. This is garbage. You know, I'm just going to fucking burn it down, call it a loss. The bank's going to be like, hey, you still owe us fucking $1 million, dude. Like whether you burnt your house down or not, and the insurance company's not going to cover it, you know, because it's an intentional loss. So I don't understand how they get away with doing this. It should be illegal. And it's taking money out of the pockets of the people who worked on it. They're not going to get residuals for a show that never, or a movie that never came out. And they're all the passion they put into these characters they played. This should be an item that goes on their resume, and nobody's going to see it. It's never going to see the light of day. It was nearly a complete waste of their time and efforts to work on it. So
not nearly fully. And it was the big break for some people. Like, we don't, you know, like the director, or whatever. Like this was the movie that it was his big break. He was excited to tell his mom and dad about.
Yeah.
And no, we're gonna just delete it.
That's a shame. I think to some extent that should be illegal. I know, like we've talked about just now, that creators have the creative rights to their product, and that's fine. If you need to keep tweaking it. But all these people involved are invested in it, and they get a paycheck, but they also get a residuals paycheck afterwards, and this influence on their character and their experience. So I think legally there's got to be a way that we can stop this from happening, because it's just going to keep happening more and more if we don't do something about it.
Well, and people in my comment section on Threads and Twitter were saying, like, WB is going to lose creative people. There's directors and stuff like that are like, why would I bother making a move for you guys if you guys are going to take all of my potency away from me and possibly ruin and delete my work? No freaking way am I going to work for you guys.
Yeah.
You guys are ruining your name. Like, I think Paramount has a really good name for themselves right now. Like, we're seeing them take on Embrace work. Matter of fact, for this project, so I'll give you guys the numbers here. The movie, so they're going to get $40 million for doing the tax write-off thing. By deleting and destroying this thing, or just, that's the worst part too, is it could just be shelved forever and just like put away. And then there's like a glimmer of hope in 20 years they might release it for some reason. But no, their sources are saying that they're actually going to destroy it. Which is so sickening.
Do like Disney does with the vault. Remember they would put something in the vault, and then like 2 years later, like, oh my God, we're bringing Hercules back out of the vault, and you can't wait to see it again or something like that.
Yeah, and then you bought the DVD because it has extra deleted scenes or something like that.
Lock it in the water tower. There you go.
There we go. Yeah, with the Animaniacs.
Yeah.
So they're going to make $40 million on the tax write-off. The reason they're able to do that is because they're saying it's going to be even more of a loss if we keep trying to put this movie out. So when they first announced this cancellation, it was back in November. People were furious, of course, because they're like, why would you do that? Will Forte and John Cena in this thing. It's a really good movie or whatever. I think the premise is actually very good. And so they're like, okay, we'll shop it out. We'll see if anybody wants it. They asked for $75 million, and nobody would give them that much money, but Paramount, Prime, and Netflix were all going to give them some money for it, more than the $40 million. And specifically, Paramount's like, we'll even put it in theaters. Basically, the reason they're saying that is because there's a level of prestige to that. So the WB name of a Looney Tunes cartoon would still hold up because it'd be in theaters. And nobody wanted to hit the $75 million. And worse yet, $75 million is $5 million more than the movie cost to make. So they're still trying to make a profit, Jonathan. And it's like, fuck you guys so much. So they're going to take the $40 million, 35 less than anything, 30 less than the movie cost to make. It's so frustrating. And I just gotta hate WB right now.
Yeah. I think if they really wanted to, maybe they should be free to not release it, but they should definitely not get any kind of tax write-off for doing that. And if anything, maybe, sorry, there's a cat scratching at the door. If anything, if they're not going to release it, and all these people that worked on it, deserve the recognition and the money that comes with it, it should be, if you can't make money on this project, it will be taken from you and sold at fair market value to be auctioned off.
Oh, interesting idea.
Like your property,
like a bankruptcy thing.
Yeah, if you can't afford your house, again, back to the only thing that I can compare. If you can't afford your house, then it gets taken by the bank and sold at auction for at least what they can get for it
to make up for some of the debt that's going to be accumulated from it.
Yeah, so something like that to where it can be sold off to somebody else that's actually gonna put it out there.
And that $40 million is taxpayer money. That's money that we already paid for other things.
Yeah.
And so you're taking $40 million from us for your loss.
Yeah.
Look, buddy, that's not gonna that can't fly for too much longer. We got to figure something out. WB is really showing us a loophole that we need to shut down, and we need to shut down WB if they're going to be doing this. It's just so frustrating.
I mean, what else has WB got that we would want to keep them around for anyways? They haven't been doing a whole lot of great stuff lately.
Yeah, I really would like. I'm a big fan of Paramount right now, and it's actually going to be changing hands pretty soon, and I hope it's going to be okay. Did you put? I'm sorry, this is totally. Now we're changing subjects all of a sudden. But did you see that new Super Bowl commercial or the new Paramount Plus commercial with Picard, and they're all talking about football and stuff like that?
No.
After this, I'm showing it to you, Jonathan. I'm telling you, if commercials could get Emmys, this one would get the Emmy. It's got Jeff from Survivor. It's got Reno 911 guy, the sheriff. It's got Picard. It's such a hey Arnold. It's so good.
So somebody's buying Paramount now?
So yes, Paramount is the the main stockholder is wanting to retire and sell her share. So she's shopping it out. And we were really worried because one of the people interested and actually met with her was Bobby Kotick, who was the old leader of Activision Blizzard and is one of the worst people on this planet. Luckily, it seems like he's been passed over. Thank God. Because obviously Paramount owns Star Trek. So we want to make sure it goes to the right person.
Yeah.
The latest and highest bidder right now, and I can't remember his name, but he is basically the reason all those judge shows are on TV.
Oh God, I hate those.
Not Judge Judy, but everything else that's all a judge. The other ones.
Yeah. Judge Justice.
And so at first I was like,
crap like that.
What's this guy even want Paramount for? But then I was like, oh, reality TV shows. Paramount's got a lot of reality TV shows.
Yeah.
And this guy's probably, so at least as a Survivor fan who has a Survivor podcast coming out later this month, heads up on that, guys. That's good. It's good to hear that, like, oh, he's going to keep Survivor on because that's the most powerful one that they have.
As long as he doesn't try to monetize in the same way as these, not monetize, but make more cheap stuff like these judge shows because they're just brain garbage. But
I could actually see them making more because if you remember back like in the early 2000s when Survivor first hit off, and because it's been around that long, guys,
there was a bunch of shows like that.
There was a bunch of them like Can You Be a Pirate, Joe Millionaire, all these different things like that, and so I could see that coming back. Which I'll probably watch it. I'll probably watch a few.
Yeah, but as long as it does, hopefully, being that it's just one investor that has an influence in the show in the company, hopefully they can't change it too much. Just buying in and joining a board of 20 other investors or something like that. Maybe having a larger share than most, but not being the sole. You're not changing CEOs or something like that. So we can expect the direction of the company should stay relatively the same.
And current plans, like Section 31 is now actually filming now. So that's something we thought was forgotten, but Section 31 is actually filming now.
Can't wait.
Whoever would give Star Trek Legacy a shot, because Star Trek Legacy is a fan desired series that follows, I think we've talked about this before, Seven of Nine as the captain. It follows Picard, basically. At the end of Picard, Seven of Nine is now the captain of the main ship, the flagship, and has a crew of the people we know, including LaForge's daughter and stuff like that. Like, that is tailor-made for the old Star Trek fans, and everybody's wanting it. It's going to be called Star Trek Legacy if it does happen. The writers for Picard are like, here's what it would look like. We already wrote it for you guys, too. Right. And it's just waiting for Paramount to give the... So whoever runs Paramount, please just do that for us.
Right.
We appreciate it.
Keep Star Trek going.
Speaking of Star Trek Discovery's final season is going to be premiering April 4th. Now, Discovery, I think, is probably the most hotly contested, debated Star Trek series of the franchise. The first season was very different than what the rest of the season. Season 2, I think, was its highlight. Season 3, they jumped to the future.
Yeah.
What do you think they need to do for Discovery to end this series off? And maybe kind of in a high note, I would say.
Yeah, shoot, I don't know. That whole jump into the future was a little too much to me, I think. I know they were grasping at straws because the show wasn't getting the response that they were hoping for. At least it seems like.
It was a soft reboot for them, really. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's a shame to see this end so soon. 4 seasons is not a lot for a Star Trek show. But I really don't know what they can do to, jump back to the past. I don't know. Reconnect with some of the crew they lost, but they could use this as a setting up point to prepare for a new series or something like that they're going to bring out. And maybe they can keep some of their better characters. Yeah, all their characters are great, but keep certain ones that they want to carry over into another series. But as a story arc, I can't even think of something else that would actually be like a good farewell or a good sign off.
So I think it's 5 seasons, first of all. This will be its 5th season, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But I would like to see them somehow, this sounds so shitty if I'm being honest, but negate their entire series. So I would like for them to be able to go back in time and make it to where the future that they saw doesn't exist. Yeah. So that any Star Trek series that comes out now isn't hampered by the fact that in 3000 we know that there's no warp speed. And that Starfleet is all but dissolved.
And they have a technology that nobody else has ever heard of in any other Star Trek, which is that spore drive. So it wouldn't be too hard to say they're testing temporal mechanics with the spore drive and something goes wrong and that spore technology is actually erased from time so that now nobody is able to jump at any point. So,
that is a frustrating wrinkle. Like the spore drive is neat if it wasn't Star Trek because it's too powerful for Star Trek. Yeah. A lot of Discovery's too powerful. Like when they go to the future, now they have that adaptive matter, I think it's called, where it just kind of like does what you want it to do. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's right. Who Pike knows about it. Like, there are some actual main Star Trek people who know about the spore drive, and they're like sworn to secrecy. And it's like, no, because then in TOS, they know about this incredible spore drive that exists that lets you basically go anywhere you want at a flash.
And when there was these big conflicts that the whole planet was at risk, or the whole, solar system, galaxy, whatever, like they knew, oh, I just got to find this captain that has this technology and we could win this war. And oh wait, but we didn't do that. Why didn't we do that? It really didn't exist. So yeah, I don't know. It does. I didn't
think about the spore drive because that's actually a really big move. If they could go back in time, like it's such a big part of the show that's how they could finish it off with, is trying to go back and destroy the spore drive in the beginning, which would erase all their history. It would put them back in the past. It would change Pike's character, though.
They lose control of the technology. So some like Romulans or whatever get the spore technology, or whoever, I don't even know who the big bad is in the future. They get a hold of it.
It's the green ones. I can't remember names, but it's the something
Orions?
syndicate.
The Orion syndicate. Yeah.
The Orions.
So actually, they get a hold of it. They find some remnants from before the time jump. That would be even better. We see a little inkling. And then then their future changes once that technology has been, utilized. Yeah. And we realize that in that future timeline, somebody else has a fleet of these spore ships. Yeah. And, they have to find a way to go back and stop that technology from getting in their hands. Only way to do that is to go back to, because they can only connect to their own ship in different times or whatever, go back and destroy their ship before it gets in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I don't know. But we do lean on time travel stuff with Star Trek a lot to like solve our problems.
It's my favorite ones. It's my favorite ones.
But you don't want to ruin your favorite topic or your favorite arc or whatever by using it too much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
I was about to start mentioning other Star Trek stuff too. Yeah. Because I think at some point in the future, if we ever do a Star Trek podcast, I really want to make sure we do like a month of time travel ones.
Oh, yeah.
I want to tag team on that one for sure. Let's head into our Halo review, Jonathan. We watched Halo season 2, episode 1 and 2. It's the start of a new season. And what are your initial thoughts?
So far, I'm loving it. It's visually stunning. I think they're doing really good. The writing, though, it does seem a little confusing to me. Maybe part of it's probably because I'm watching it on my phone. I watch 30 minutes at a time or so. So it's not, a smooth, consistent story that I'm watching. But there didn't seem to be like a recap. I wanted to watch the last like 3 episodes too. I didn't. So there wasn't like a real recap to kind of tell you like, this is where we're at. This is what we're doing. So it took me a little while to kind of remember where we left off. And then so far the arc isn't super clear of like there's not a clear goal or purpose or focus. I don't know. I mean, I guess now that the goal is to try to find Halsey. But yeah, it just seems a little over the place for me. But it's a really good looking show so far.
It is a very good show. It's darker, like lighting wise, a little bit darker than I would want sometimes. Yeah. So the main storylines that we have going on right now, Master Chief and crew are trying to find Halsey, but also Master Chief is realizing in season 2 that the Covenant have a big plan going on, and the Marines don't seem to care, or trying to at least sweep it under the rug to not scare anybody. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, and they're all dealing with their like individual issues after taking out their pellets and stuff like that. Their emotional challenges, psychological issues.
Now they're embracing, and that's just Master Chief's crew that's doing that.
Yeah.
And
and
then Halsey's actually captured by the new guy that's leading the Spartan crew, and everybody's hunting her down, but he's captured by her, or vice versa, and is like, it looks like being tested to try to like perfect AI, because she of course invented Cortana, which is now being used solely by that one guy. Yeah. And then what else? Storylines. We have Soren, who is the captain of the pirates. That was spoiler warning, but he's captured by what looks like the Marines and is now arrested. He's a former Spartan, so I would like to see him kind of brought back into the Spartan.
Kick down doors.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
That'd be like if Master Chief and crew have to turn against the UNC, whatever it's called. If they bring him in on their team to, take care of business.
and I think it's Kwon Ha is the character that nobody likes. And I was like, oh, none of the trailers showed her at all. And sure enough, the final shot of the final first episode of season 2 was like her popping up. I was like, fuck,
Yeah.
no,
And
they
she
didn't listen.
She was the one telling monster stories to what's his name's daughter,
Soren's
or,
son.
Yeah, Soren's
Yeah.
son.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, that was kind of weird. I don't understand the purpose of that. What is
I don't understand the purpose of her.
Yeah, is she trying to like train him because he's going to be a major warrior someday, and she wants him to be prepared? Or I don't know. It's kind of weird.
It really just slows down everything. Yeah. We want more John. We want okay. So one of the biggest complaints outside of her character, one of the biggest complaints about the series is always the fact that Master Chief keeps taking off his helmet. And when asked about it, Pablo Schreiber, who's the actor for Master Chief, says, "Look, this isn't the video game. This is a whole other series.
Yeah,
it's obviously inspired. It's based off of Halo." But it's not the Halo game. So the helmet's coming off. And it looks like the helmet's actually more off this season than it was last season. Mm-hmm. Are you upset about that? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have no problem with it. My argument of it is going back to what we've talked about with Star Trek too, is, when we watch Strange New Worlds, we love how the ship looks. Everything's real crisp and colorful. Yeah. And they do a really good job with the visualizing the tech that they have. And then we go back and watch TOS and we're like, oh my God, this is like not even an old submarine technology. There's just switches and buttons, and you look into a scope. Yeah, it's really old tech. Well, they were trying to display the new style with the old technology. They, in their minds, I'm sure it looked a lot better, but when we got to see it, TOS looks a little dated and clanky. Well, when you watch the game, when you're playing the game, they would love to be able to pop that helmet on and off all the time and show you help you connect with this character. But they didn't have the technology to CGI a face in that world at that time to a standard that would be pleasant. So I'm like, no, we'll just keep the helmet on. That's a lot cheaper, a lot easier for us. So I would imagine the story's being told, roughly the same way. They just weren't able to show us his face in the game, but they probably wanted to. That helps build a connection to the character, which we do get a good connection. And I think in the game, you are the character, so it helps to not see his face.
That's, I think, a biggie. Yeah.
But yeah,
because you become Master Chief a lot easier when you don't have another face to identify with. Like it's you in the helmet. But on the show, you're not watching you in the helmet anymore. Yeah. You're watching John, Master Chief.
And you're not making the choices of which way he goes and what vehicle he steals and stuff like that. So
I think that's an important distinction that viewers that have a negative outlook on this thing, not that the show's perfect. This show has a lot of things it's got to do. These first 2 episodes, one of the biggest things I got to complain about is the fact that it's starting so much stuff without having an actual, we're not seeing much progress forward. It's just like, okay, get ready because these guys are going to go that direction now. All right, these guys are going to go that direction. It's like, don't start things, just let's get going. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I think you guys have to just understand that you are not Master Chief in this world. That's the video games. I will say, I was like, I'm ready to play some Halo now. It got me all fired up.
It just the visuals are so stunning in this.
Incredible. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I hope people don't get this canceled. Let's keep it going. I want to see 5, 6, 7 seasons of the show because it is just so they must be putting, I don't know the numbers. They must be putting a shit ton of money into making this CGI look as good as it is. It's ridiculous. We were talking about how
the Star Trek CGI. It's Paramount. The Paramount CGI game. People don't talk about it. It's because people only talk about. That's the thing, John. People only talk about CGI when they want to complain about it. Yeah. Because the Paramount CGI is top notch in comparison to. Look at Knuckles too. Actually, matter of fact, let's throw that in there as well. Top notch. Compare that to others that were like Marvel. We complain about Ant-Man, and it's like you guys don't talk about how good it was in Wakanda Forever or something. It wasn't good there either. But
yeah. When you see the bad guys, I can't remember the names, with the energy swords. That's exactly how I wanted it to look. Yeah, the elites. Exactly. That looks like the video game, but progressed better with technology. They didn't, cut corners. They didn't make it look cheesy or cheap. That's beautiful. I'm glad they're doing it justice so far.
Do you feel the flood might be coming?
Oh, I hope the flood's coming. There's no inklings of it yet, but yeah, that would be such. But I think it would be a really good surprise. We are so focused on the elites being the enemy, and some internal that the Marines or the corporate structure, whatever. There's a big bad in there too.
I think it's called.
So there's 2 battlefronts right there. But then moving forward, it's going to become and they'll probably build up the elites even more. Oh, they have this, they're super spiritual, and they want to eliminate all of us, and they're going planet to planet and stuff like that. And then you see, oh, they're scared of something worse than them, and it's this flood, and that's why they're glassing all these planets. That's the only way to get rid of that. Is the only way to get the lice out of the carpet, kind of thing. And then we're introduced to it, and it's like, oh crap, we need to be on their side. We have to work together to get rid of this, or it's going to destroy every planet quickly. So I'm excited. I hope they do that. I hope we see. I
would love that. That's one of the big benefits to Arbiter, who's not been seen, and I don't know if we'll be seen because we see that another character's coming back. I won't say who. But Arbiter was that connection to the Covenant.
We talked about cutting corners with CGI last week, and how like, that'd be kind of cheap if they found a way to not show the face very much and stuff like that. That's their solution, and I don't like it. Changing out him for a different character. That would be disappointing.
Well, they haven't changed him out. This is a I think it might be a book only character. Next week on Challenge Accepted, we're going to bring Scott on, who actually read the books. So it's going to be like, oh, okay, good. I can't wait to ask you questions.
And it would be changing the story, so she wouldn't be playing in his physical spot, but it would be rerouting the story to stick to her line more than his, and kind of cut him out of the picture. But
you're absolutely right that we do need a way to see the Covenant side of this, and see that the Covenant are like preparing for a war against the Flood, not UNC, the Marines. I did love that visual though, where all of a sudden you see all the ships rising from the fog, because it was like the whole time the ships have been there the whole time on that planet that they're glassing. And by the way, the term glassing a planet is freaking dope. We saw it with the Mandalore, but it's like they just now are going planet to planet and glassing them. It's so freaking cool.
You said we saw it with Mandalore? Magical.
Yeah. No, Mandalorian is glassed. In Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
They talk about how like they turn the surface to glass. And so it's like, it's a cool concept like that. You imagine like that takes so much bombardment. But this one they do it in a actual like purposeful way. Pretty neat.
Because there's only certain elements that turn to, like if you melt sand, it turns to glass, but if you melt rock, it turns to more rock, right? Like lava,
I guess it turns to magma. Cools into, we need a scientist. Do you know the scientist? I don't know any scientists.
They must be adding. Their laser does more than just hot. It does hot plus some molecular changes.
That's it. Magic.
Yeah,
we're just gonna chuck up the magic.
Magic.
I think there are definitely some fixes. Or so not some fixes. It's an early start, and I think it's very early. It feels very early. Yeah. But visuals, excellent. Pablo as Master Chief, I really like him. His character. Cortana's clearly going to be very important to him. They made sure that one of the early things we talk about it a lot on Challenge Accepted. Actually, you know what? I'll save it for Challenge Accepted. Guys, we talk about this more on Challenge Accepted. Go and check that out, guys. It's the premiere of Challenge Accepted Season 2, and I'm so excited about that. Jonathan's stepping in while Thomas is on the mend. But yeah, it's a good start. I'm excited for it. It's got a lot of good spots.
One question, do you think this show would be better received if it wasn't broken up episode by episode, but if it was released all at once, so people get their answers in the same, sitting?
Maybe. Paramount's that's not Paramount's vibe at all, but maybe. Paramount's very much CBS. They still live by broadcast television rules a little bit.
Yeah, because I don't know. There's a lot of it where it's like, if you were able to just sit down and enjoy the whole show, it seems like you wouldn't be left on that cliffhanger that leaves you questioning, or the story isn't really resolving itself. Like you're saying, there's a lot of threads that were started, but we haven't really pulled on very many of them yet. Like, well, yeah, if we got maybe just a third episode, maybe that'll straighten a lot of it out and people can calm down. But I'm down to just spend an afternoon binging the whole thing.
Yeah. All right, guys, go check us out on Challenge Accepted as we discuss that a lot more and dig into it. But for this episode, we're going to be calling it. Jonathan, let's go ahead and end on what do you want to do? Recommendations again? Let's do recommendations, I think.
Sure. I don't remember what my recommendation was for last week, but you guys know Avatar's coming out on Netflix. Oh yeah,
and that's what it was. Actually, you said Halo and Avatar last week.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep preaching Avatar. If you guys haven't already, watch at least season 1. That's what the series is gonna be based on so far. And read the comics. The comics are so good. They have the books, the appendiums, or however you say it. Yeah, definitely read those. They're a lot of fun.
Really good suggestion. I'm gonna recommend Rumble, Warcraft Rumble. It's the app on your phones, guys. We're at the point now where a lot of like the early starters are falling off, and it's kind of these guys that really like. It takes a while, but the strategy is so good in that game. I'm enjoying the strategy quite a bit. And I've been playing Advanced Wars again but
Nice.
I got the Switch version now with the better graphics, and it's amazing how I'm like, God damn, this game is good. I forgot how good this game is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun. All right, guys, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Bye.
Bye.